Hello, good day. Welcome to another one of my tutorials. Today I'll be talking about connecting a client to a server, connecting the client to the same domain. Here I have my server powered off and my client. At the beginning, you should note that make sure both the client and the server have the same network adapter. I use the host adapter because it's the one that works. So I'm going to start up the server and the client. For your server to properly become the domain on which your client connects, you must ensure that your server roles, you have Active Directory domain services installed in your server roles. So we just run through the installation of this. While our server is installing rules, let's get right down to it in the client. So first step would be setting up the IP address for the client. So let's go into control panel. Then we go to network and network and sharing. This will of course be just in Windows 7. In the other editions of Windows, it will be slightly different, but I'm sure you can follow. Change adapter settings. And here we go to properties. And here we'll be configuring IP version 4. Use the following address, and I'll use 168.10.3. Subnet mask would automatically be entered. Default gateway, we'll leave that until we configure our server, and the DNS would be the same, so we'll be back. Here we go. It's good to ensure that you have network security discovery turned on. Okay, as you can see my installation of the Active Directory domain services has completed. So I'll just close this. After the installation of Active Directory domain services, go into Active Directory domain services itself, and you will notice that you'll see this message. So in order to get it up and running properly, you have to run the Active Directory domain services installation DC promo. So we'll be running this. Next. What we'll be doing here is creating a forest. This is where the domain will be within the service. Within the server, I'm sorry. We'll be creating a new domain. I'll call it forest.net. Next. Yes, I think they want you to use dot something. I'm not sure why really, but it's best to go with what they told us. Next. DNS server next. Yes. So I'm just running through some of this. You'll have to have a password. Okay. Next. And here we go. Installation of DC promo. Alright, so we'll be going to networks and sharing center. And just like in the client, we'll also be turning on network discovery. See, it's on default, it's off, so we'll be turning this on. Okay, it's on. I believe it's on there. Custom. Password protection off. I'm only doing this for the tutorial to prevent any conflicts. I'm sure for security reasons, when you are implementing this in a real life situation, you would have your password protection sharing on. Wonderful. Our wizard has completed and domain services has also finished. Let's close that off. We're starting now since I'm still working the network here. That we'll go to manage network connections. Here we have our... Alright, let's go into TCP IP version 4. We'll be configuring the server. Let's see, 10 dot, and okay, this is it. So this IP address is the one we'll be using in the client, so that the client and the server can connect. So this one right here. Okay and okay. Right, let's head over to the client now. Control panel and network. Change adapter settings. Alright, for the default gateway, we'll use the server's IP address. Also for preferred DNS, 192.168.10.5. Okay, now that's completed. Let's see if these two PCs can communicate. We'll go into command prompt. And as you can see here, packet sent 4, received 4, lost 0. This means that the client and the server are communicating. Alright, so that's the first part of the tutorial. Second, we will be connecting the client to the server on the same domain. Okay, for this part of the tutorial, we'll be going to my computer, properties. You right click anywhere here in the empty space. Alright, changing settings. To rename the computer, we'll go and rename it. For this, it can be sometimes confusing to be typing in client-pc all the time, so let's just call it client. Simple enough. Gets the job done. Alright, domain. The domain that we had was forest.net, so let's forest.net. Oh, before we do that, we also have to add this client into the server as one of the users. So let's restart the PC. Restart. Alright. Restart. Hardware maintenance installation. Let's call it that. Okay, let's go. Alright, so the server has just restarted, and as you can see, you see forest/administrator. This is the domain. Okay, alright, let's get right back into the madness. Alright, as I was saying before you can add the client to the server, you will need to create a profile for the person, so that they will be able to access the domain. Alright, let's just get right into it. Server manager. Oh, and for those of you who are wondering why the screen looks so much better now, I added the Oracle guest editions. To access that, you can just go to devices, install guest editions, and it pretty much cleans up everything. You can freely change the size of the screen. Unlike before, there was a lot of problems with that, really messy and whatnot. Yeah, it's just nice, you know. Okay, so we Okay, the next part of this, adding the client to the domain, we go into Active Directory domain services. Go into forest.net users, and we create a new user. First name, let's call him Bob. Last name, Bob Smith. Yeah, that sounds good. User logo name will be Bob.Smith or B Smith. Yeah, that sounds good. B Smith. Forest.net. Next. Password, you'll have to enter this when he is trying to log in. User must change password at next login. Okay, we just put a simple password. Let's see if 1, 2, 3, 4. So he can change it to whatever he likes afterwards. Alright, next. Finished. Windows cannot set the password because it doesn't. Okay, so it seems you have to put some sort of, you know, special characters in your password. You can't just have the simple 1, 2, 3 thing. Even though I just wanted it for what the okay. So you want something, alright. For purposes in this video, I'll just have a password that never expires. Okay. What? Bastard. Okay. Our new user has been created. Bob Smith. How you going, Bob? Now we'll be adding the client to the domain, which is forest.net. Okay, here we will be entering the username and the password. Enter the name and password of an account with permission to join the domain. That would be B Smith. Welcome to the forest.net domain, Bob. Now Bob is a part of the forest domain. Okay, we are back to the welcome screen. Let's see if Bob can connect with his profile to the domain. Okay, so we have B Smith. Alright. And as you can see, he can get onto the domain. Okay, so we went over how to set up your client and server to connect to each other, how to create a forest, and how to connect your client to the same domain as the server. This is the end of my tutorial. Thank you and good luck.